Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Tea with Sue. I'm Sue, your magnificence mentor, and it's such a delight to be here again. My apologies for being a little bit late. We usually start at 10 Mountain Time, and technical difficulties. So I bless the people in my life who know how to sort out whatever challenges I'm having and to help me get the next step along. So it's been a glorious week. Here we are, the 2nd of April. It's starting to feel more like spring. Spring to me always signifies new beginnings. And I thought today we would take a little look at life through the lens of a remote control. So when you think of so when I was growing up and we got our first television set, it was back in the day. It was a black and white TV. And of course, there were only maybe 3 channels, if that. And so if you wanted to turn the TV on, well, you walked over to the TV and you pushed the button. And if you wanted to turn it off, same thing. You had to get up from the couch and go turn it off. Changing the channel, same thing. Turning the volume up or down, same thing. It was so you got a little exercise when it came to watching TV. Well, now, of course, when they invented remote control, it was so easy to just sit on the couch and click a button. Well, so we have the on and off switch. We have the play button. We have pause in certain cases, depending on what we're watching on TV and how many electronic gadgets we have. We have replay, so we can rewind or go back. And if we missed a piece, ran off to get a snack and, oh, I want to go back and watch that again. So we do these things and we have all of these choices and these opportunities, or we can change the channel whenever we like and say, yeah, I don't like this. I'm going to change the channel. So I thought about life like that and sometimes how we forget that we actually have an internal device that works absolutely like a remote control does. So let's think about this for a moment. So there are times in life when things are just we push the start button on an activity that we wanted to do or something we wanted to watch or participate in or have be involved in our lives. And we're merrily moving along that path. And then maybe we hit a snag. Maybe something odd happens or something that we don't consider particularly good happens. And sometimes what we do, and I know I've done this lots, is we just keep forging ahead, and it's like we hit this big mud puddle, and as far as we know, the only way to the other side is right through the mud. And then we slog and we slog and we slow down and we slow down, and it gets harder and harder, and the mud cakes our boots, and maybe it gets to the point where the water gets deeper and starts to spill over into our boots. Do you remember that happening as a kid? We never knew how deep the water was. We would just wade right in, no problem. And then we'd come home, and of course, our mothers are dumping the water out of our boots and saying, why did you do that? Why did you go into that deep water? So we can proceed that way, or we can stand at the edge of the puddle and we can say, let's hit the pause button for just a moment. Let's think about this. So I could just wade straight through that. That's one option. I could skirt around the puddle, take the longer way around and avoid the puddle altogether. That's another option. I could take off my boots and go in barefoot so that I wouldn't get water inside my boots and get a scolding when I got home. Or I could say, you know what, this is as far as I want to go. I think I'm going to turn around and go somewhere else. So when we hit the pause button, it gives us all these options and all these choices. And depending on which one we choose, then we'll have the result of whatever that choice is. And we may, after hitting the pause button, just decide, oh, what the heck, let's just forge on through the puddle and see what happens when we get to the other side. Your choice, right? We have the not only the right to do that and the free will to do that, but that's our responsibility in getting through life. So, but one thing I find is that sometimes it's really challenging to hit the pause button, to stop and just think about for a moment what we're about to do as to whether our course of action is going to benefit us or cause us to struggle even more. So I know I've lived my life lots where I just felt that, well, life is a struggle. And so you just keep struggling and hope that you get through it. And lots of times what it brought me was more struggle. And I'm going, what? That's not working the way I thought it was going to. So the pause button is a great button to stop and say, okay, let's just think about this for a moment, or let's gather my energy, or let me look around for some help. Maybe there's some big, strong person, if I'm little, that'd be willing to carry me across the puddle. I've had that happen in my life, and it was quite wonderful. So there's the pause button, right? The other button that I think we sometimes we hit the fast forward button and we're ready to go and we're just supercharged and we just go for all our might and zoom ahead. And it feels great because it gives us more energy. And we're, if you think of kids playing, well, they just go all out and to the point of sheer exhaustion. And then they flop down for a few minutes until they get their breath back and their energy kind of resurges. And then they're ready to go again. Well, we know when we're kids that recovery is just instantaneous. Well, I got to tell you that I don't recover quite that fast anymore. And so if I decide to go full out, I know that I can do it for brief periods of time and then, or that's what I think, but maybe I can go faster, farther than I think. Maybe I bought into a program that says, oh, so you can't go double quick time now. You know, that's you're not the right age. You don't have the stamina. You don't have whatever. And yet I was out with a friend the other day who is quite a bit younger than I am. And she was astounded at how much stamina I had to just keep going and doing what I was doing. And so I'm going, maybe I have a wrong perception here. Maybe I have more stamina than I give myself credit for. Maybe I can go and go and go. And then when it's time, I can stop. So the beauty of gathering some wisdom along the way is that we can pick and choose when to just go for it and when to say, time to rest, time to ponder, time to think about things, time to stop and smell the roses or grab a cup of tea, whatever that looks like. So I like the fast forward button. And I like just the regular play button. Now, one of the buttons that I wasn't so sure that I had and I kind of wished for was the replay button. So, of course, on the remote control, if you want, let's say you have recorded a movie and some of it was you missed some of it, or you didn't quite get what was going on. And so then you went back a ways to say, okay, let's either start again, let's start all over, or let's go back halfway and start again from there. So it's like a do-over in life, right? Well, how many times do we allow ourselves a do-over? So for example, when I had a near-death experience and and life changed right in front of my eyes, my perspective on life changed so dramatically. So much of what I had previously believed wasn't true. And so then it felt as if I was right at the beginning, and I'm going, wow, is this a do-over? Can I start again from here? And the concept was quite astounding to me because I just hadn't thought that a reset or a do-over was particularly possible. I just hadn't looked at it in those terms before. Well, then when I thought about it a little further, I thought, well, really, every one of us in every moment of the day has an opportunity to start again, to have a do-over, to stop what we're doing and say, wait a minute, I can change my mind. I can pick a different path. I can do something totally different than what I'm doing in right this second. Will there be consequences? Oh, inevitably. Will I like those consequences? Well, I might and I might not. But we have that ability. There was a phrase that I learned many years ago was, well, if I could start over knowing what I know now, because people always say, well, what age would you go back to if you had that opportunity? You know, would you go back to being, for me, it was 27. That was a magic year for me when I was 27. And I just felt like I had the world by the tail, and I could just go for it. And so the energy that was around that feeling was pretty strong and pretty wonderful. But of course, I'd want to take the wisdom that I've acquired now back to when I was 27. And would that change anything? Well, probably it would. But would I have learned what I've learned in the intervening years? I'm not so sure. So I don't know about going back to a previous age. But there's no doubt that we can stop wherever we are and have a do-over and say, life up to this point has maybe not been as wonderful, as magnificent, as cherished as it could be. So how do I change that? What do I do? So that's where the rewind button can come in to say, okay, let's go back in our thinking process and re-examine what is it that's been going on. And so much of what goes on that we may not even be aware of is the idea that there's thoughts going on in our heads that run without us being consciously aware of them. And lots of times, because of the way we're brought up, they're old programs, they're old beliefs that were deep-seated by someone else. And we don't even know if they're true for us, unless, of course, we explore them, unless, of course, we stop for a minute and say, well, if I'm going to have a do-over, what's not working in my life right now? And why isn't that working? So for me personally, there were times in my life when I thought, okay, well, what is not working in my life? And one of the things that wasn't working was I had all of these negative thoughts running through my head, worry and fear and doubt and hesitations and trepidations and what ifs, thinking of the dark and the gloomy side of life that had really no physical bearing on what I was doing right then and there, except that it seemed as if focusing on that for so much of my life unconsciously, like I wasn't even really aware that all this stuff was running in the background. It's kind of like that music that plays and plays and plays. And because it's low enough that you don't even exactly hear it, but it's an irritant, and you know, I don't feel that good. And then you go and you change the channel. You dial your radio button or push another button, and you change to something, and all of a sudden your heart lifts and you go, oh, that feels better. I like that better. And it just enables you to do something different. So the do-over thing, we have an opportunity to do over anything we choose and make it better, make it stronger, or stop doing it altogether. So it's a matter of a discipline, and it's a matter of, I guess, from a personal perspective, I look at addictions that people have that really muck up their lives, and and a lot of them start because of the person being in such intense pain. And I know of people who, once they worked through that pain, whatever they were addicted to was no longer there. Like, it just, they overcame it. They found a way because they worked. But what did they do? Well, they went inside, right? I mean, that's where the magic happens, and that's where the gold is inside. When we decide to turn our attention to, well, what's really going on in me? It's that introspection, and the inner life is where the richness is. The inner life is where the wealth is. And when we go in and begin to understand that as magnificent beings, fashioned in the image of God, the image of the universe, whatever understanding you have of that, then we are limitless in what we can do. So that means we can shift whatever needs to shift. It takes some conscious effort to notice, to become conscious. You deliberately look and say, oh, I see what's going on, and then work to move forward. And sometimes it's like micro steps, and it's even smaller than baby steps in the progress. But then as we gather momentum, we can move from, that jerky, okay, I'm doing it, and then one step forward, three steps back, and then you go again, and you go again, and you go again. And then pretty soon it smooths itself out, and the ride gets easier and easier and easier. Kind of like driving, if you learn to drive a standard transmission car, then I remember trying that. And of course I hit the gas pedal and I don't have the clutch engaged properly, and I'm jerking forward and jerking forward. But as I got the hang of it, as I practiced, as I did it, well, then it's to have that self-discipline to keep going until you see the shift. And it's uncomfortable. And there's times when we feel like quitting and say, oh, I can't do this, I don't want to do this. And our ego kind of flits in and says, Sue, you're never going to be able to do that. Why don't you just let it go and do something else? Well, when I persevere, when I see it to its end, then whether the result is extremely satisfying or a little disappointing, it doesn't really matter, because I did carry on knowing that I can start again whenever I want to. I can have a do-over whenever I want to. I mean, that's what experimenting is, right? Life is an experiment, and lots of times we have no clue how it's going to turn out. But if we have the desire to say, well, there's got to be more. There's got to be more to me. There's got to be more to life. There's more that I can do, more I want to experience, more joy to be had, more happiness. I was a very unhappy kid, and it didn't feel good. Well, now I tend to be a very happy adult because I like it. And it doesn't mean I don't have my days that are kind of, or my lower than a snake's belly days. I have those. but I don't let them last very long because I'm going, no, 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 that's not where I want to hang out. I want to hang out here. So today, think about how you're going to work the internal remote control. You know, are you going to go fast forward? Are you ready to do that? Are you just going to have that nice steady play until, you know, from beginning to some ending? Do you need to pause and say, I think I better take not only a look around, but a look inside and see what my heart's desire is, see how I want to manifest whatever it is that's out there next for me. How do I want to do that? Or do you need to do over some things and say, oh, okay. I like to do a little talk called Trash Your Trash Talk. Well, it's about stopping whatever isn't working, especially what goes on in our minds and how we think about ourselves and how we think about and speak about ourselves and how we think about others and speak about others. So when it's negative, then it's trash. It's just trash. It's fear-based. And so then at some point when the trash gets too big, you take out the trash and get rid of that, right? Because it starts to smell and you go, ooh, I don't like that. So over the next few days, I really encourage you to look at your life and decide which buttons you want to activate now, what would serve you the best in this moment for whatever it is you want in life and wherever it is you're going. You know you can do it because you're that magnificent. I know that. And my fondest desire is that you begin to know that as well for yourself. Have a glorious weekend. It's Easter weekend here in Canada, and there are lots of celebrations about life and the resurrection. Well, we can resurrect our own lives in a very amazing way. We have that power, and it's up to us. Until next time, Sue, your magnificence mentor, signing off.